Most people calculate the cost of buying a home incorrectly. They add down payment, $80,000 at 20%, plus closing costs, $12,000, plus first mortgage payment. Total, maybe $95,000. But actual first-time home buyers report that year one costs are $86,698 in unexpected expenses. Immediate repairs, inspections that reveal problems, furniture for a larger space, first-year property taxes and insurance. The roof inspection reveals problems. The HVAC needs work. The basement leaks in the first rain. The electrical system is sketchy. These $5,000 to $15,000 surprises are so common that 60% of homeowners cite unexpected repairs as their top financial stress. A renter? They have zero of these. The landlord handles the roof, the HVAC, the plumbing, the electrical. The renter pays rent. That's it. This first-year shock is a huge part of why renters have better cash flow. Homeowners are absorbing constant surprise costs that renters never experience. Here's the most mind-bending part of this entire equation. Homeowners end up 43 times wealthier than renters. Yet renters have better cash flow and lower monthly costs. How is this possible? The answer is not math, it's behavior. A mortgage is a forced savings account. You have to pay it, or you lose your house. This behavioral commitment forces most homeowners to build equity over time. Over 30 years, that forced discipline builds serious wealth. But a renter who saves $900 per month from lower housing costs? Research shows they don't actually invest it. They spend it. They buy a nicer car. They take a vacation. They upgrade their lifestyle. So even though the renter's cash flow is better and the monthly math favors renting, the homeowner wins on wealth building because humans are terrible at saving when there's no forced commitment. This is the paradox. The financially smarter choice, rent for the first 7 to 12 years, conflicts with the wealth building choice. Buy and force yourself to build equity. The solution isn't one or the other. It's understanding which priority matters to you right now. Do you want cash flow freedom and financial flexibility today? Rent. Do you want to force yourself to build wealth over 30 years despite higher costs? Buy. But stop pretending both choices aren't valid. They are. The math just isn't as simple as renters throw money away. Here's something that's destroying the rent versus buy equation and almost nobody is talking about. Insurance costs have exploded 48% in just the past 5 years. 48% in 5 years. That's 3 times faster than wage growth. In Florida, homeowners are seeing 60 to 75% increases in just 2 years. In New York City, insurance costs have jumped 300%. A homeowner paying $2,500 per year for insurance 5 years ago might now pay $4,200 per year. That's $1,700 extra per year that wasn't in the budget. For renters, this is less painful because landlords share insurance costs across the entire building. For homeowners, you bear 100% of the cost for your property. And here's the thing that really matters. You can't control this. You can't negotiate homeowners insurance the way you negotiate rent. It's determined by climate risk, disaster exposure, property values, and market conditions. Climate change is making it worse. Wildfires in California, hurricanes in Florida, hail in Nebraska, all driving insurance costs up. This means that the locked-in mortgage payment that people celebrate, it's only locked in for 40% of your housing cost. The other 60% is volatile and growing at a rate that exceeds inflation. Renters deal with rent inflation, typically 2 to 3% annually. Homeowners deal with insurance inflation, 8 to 12% annually. That's a massive difference over 30 years. For decades, financial advisors told people, buy if you're going to stay 5 years. That's the break-even point. That rule died in 2025. With current mortgage rates around 6.5%, high closing costs, and the massive hidden cost explosion, the break-even point is now 12 years. In expensive coastal markets, it's 14 years. Think about what that means. You need to stay in the house for 12 years before buying is financially better than renting. If you leave after 7 years, renting wins. And not by a little. Renters come out hundreds of thousands of dollars ahead because they avoid the transaction costs and keep their down payment working in investments. Let me show you why. When you buy a $400,000 house at 6.5% with 20% down, your monthly cost is roughly $870 more than renting an equivalent home. That's in year one. Combined with the $1,785 in annual hidden costs, you're paying about $1,200 more per month than a comparable renter. To offset that, you need the home to appreciate, your mortgage to build equity, and time for those costs to matter less. That takes 12 years in most markets. The problem is, most people don't stay in homes for 12 years anymore. They move for jobs. They upsize for families. They want a different neighborhood. The average American moves every 5 to 7 years, which means for most people, renting is actually the wiser financial choice. But nobody's saying that because it contradicts the American dream narrative. Here's the first thing nobody tells you about buying a home. Your mortgage payment is only about 40% of your actual housing cost. The other 60%, that's the part that destroys people financially. Think about it like this. You see a house that costs $400,000. You get a mortgage quote, $2,300 per month. That feels manageable. You compare it to your $1,400 rent and think, okay, it's more, but not crazy more. But then you actually buy the house, and suddenly there are costs you never budgeted for. Property taxes, insurance, maintenance, utilities, repairs. And here's the brutal part. These costs are growing faster than your income. In 2025, homeownership costs grew 4.7%. Household income grew 3.8%. Every single year, the gap gets wider. You're running on a treadmill that's speeding up. The average homeowner now pays $21,400 per year in hidden costs. That's $1,785 per month on top of the mortgage. In New York City, it's $24,000 per year. In San Francisco, $22,000 per year. That $2,300 mortgage, you actually need to budget $4,085 per month to cover the real cost of homeownership. Now, your friend's advice to stop throwing money away on rent looks different, doesn't it? You're 35, you've been renting for years, and everyone keeps telling you the exact same thing. You're wasting money. Rent is throwing cash down the drain. Buy a house before it's too late. You hear it so often that eventually you start believing them. So one weekend, you sit down with a calculator. You compare your rent to the cost of owning, the mortgage, the down payment, property taxes, homeowners insurance, repairs, maintenance, utilities, closing costs, everything. And then you stare at the final number. Because according to the math, renting isn't the expensive option. It's almost $900 a month cheaper. You check the numbers again, then a third time, same result. So why does everyone insist buying is always the smarter financial move? Are millions of renters making a mistake? Or are millions of homeowners repeating advice they've never actually questioned? The truth is, one of the biggest financial beliefs of the last 50 years is built on a calculation most people never bother to do. And once you see the real numbers, you may never look at homeownership the same way again. Today, we're breaking down the real rent versus buy math in 2026, and why the answer isn't nearly as obvious as you've been led to believe. Property taxes are based on assessed value, not your purchase price. If you buy a $400,000 home, your initial property tax is based on that value. But when your local government reassesses your home's value, everything changes. In New York City, property taxes increased 16% in just the past couple of years. A homeowner paying $4,000 per year in property taxes might suddenly pay $4,640 simply because the government reassessed their home's value higher. Over 30 years, property taxes can double or triple, completely independent of any improvements you make. The government decides your home is worth more, and suddenly your costs increase. A renter's rent increase is limited by market competition and sometimes by tenant protections. A homeowner's property tax increase is determined purely by government assessment and the needs of local municipalities. This is why property taxes are called the silent partner of homeownership. They grow silently, surprising homeowners who thought their costs were stable. This is something that never makes it into the rent versus buy debate, but it should. Homeowners have enormous wealth, 43 times more than renters. But it's wealth locked in a house. It's illiquid. You can't easily access it. You can't invest it. It's stuck. Renters have cash. They have $900 per month better cash flow. That's liquid. That's accessible. That can be invested or spent or saved. So renters are rich in cash. Homeowners are rich on paper. Over 30 years, the homeowner's paper wealth becomes real wealth. But for the first 7 to 12 years, the renter has more actual money available to them. This creates a painful dynamic. Homeowners sacrifice their current lifestyle to build future wealth. Renters enjoy current lifestyle at the cost of future wealth. Which is better? It depends on what you value. Cash freedom now or wealth later. There's a demographic shift happening that nobody's talking about. Millions of renters are now permanently locked into renting. When mortgage rates were 3%, a $400,000 home cost $1,686 per month. Today, at 6.5%, the same house costs $2,560 per month. That's $874 more per month just from interest rates. Add in the $1,785 in annual hidden costs, and a renter paying $1,400 per month literally cannot afford to buy. They're financially locked out. In Virginia, you need a household income of $140,000 to afford the median home without spending more than 28% of income on housing. But the median household income is $85,000. This is unprecedented. For generations, renters could eventually become homeowners. Today, the gap is so large that renters might be locked into renting for life. This changes everything. It's no longer optional for many people. It's mandatory. Here's a calculation most people never run. If you have $80,000 for a down payment and you invest it instead of buying at a 7% annual return, you'd have $630,000 in 30 years. If you use that $80,000 to buy a $400,000 house, the house appreciates at 3% annually, historical average, and you pay down the mortgage, you might build $450,000 to $500,000 in home equity. On paper, the stocks win. In practice, it doesn't work because most people don't invest the difference. But in certain markets and scenarios, especially in expensive coastal cities where price-to-rent ratios are extremely high, renting and investing the difference actually does win. In San Jose, San Francisco, Boston, markets where homes are expensive relative to rents, a renter who actually invested their savings would outpace a homeowner's wealth building. This contradicts universal advice, but it's mathematically true. The rent versus buy decision in 2026 comes down to 4 things. 1. Your time horizon. If you're staying less than 7 years, rent. If you're staying more than 12 years, buy. If you're in between, run your own numbers based on your specific market. 2. Your market's price-to-rent ratio. In expensive coastal markets, renting wins. In affordable Midwest markets, buying wins. 3. Your ability to invest the difference. If you actually invest your savings, renting can work. If you don't, buying forces you to build wealth. 4. What you value right now. Cash flow freedom or future wealth. Both are valid answers. Stop believing that renting is throwing money away and buying is automatically building wealth. The math is way more complicated than that. In 2026, renters have better cash flow. Homeowners have more wealth at retirement. Both can be true. The real financial wisdom isn't everyone should buy. It's understand your specific situation and make the decision that aligns with your timeline, your market, and what you're actually trying to achieve. Your friends who tell you to buy, maybe they're right. Maybe they're wrong. Run the numbers for your situation, not theirs. See you in the next one.